It is being reported that the relationship between the Chicago Bulls and Zach Lavine is completely shattered. That's being reported by Joe Cowley. How do we get to this point? Are you entertained? Are you surprised? I'm not. But y'all know we're going to talk about it and break it down. But you know, you got to hear the music first.
Cognac. Gang.
Shy Boys Podcast with the Cognac Boys. I'm Cognac Boy Bobby, and I'm holding it down on another episode of Shy Boys Podcast. If you're tuned in with me today, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell as well, or as we are on the road to 10K. So if you're tuning in, you love what you're listening to, subscribe. But now on to the Chicago Bulls content. It is being reported by Joe Cowley that the relationship between Zach Lavine and the Chicago Bulls is completely shattered and filled with mistrust. Those his words, not mine. He went on to say, the Bulls continue shopping Zach Lavine to anyone that picks up the phone. Lavine is in his representation at Clutch Sports feels like they were misled on possible trade destinations, and the Bulls thought Lavine opting for season-ending right foot surgery when rehab on the injury was still on the table was a counterpunch thrown below the belt. So as you can see, a bunch of shadiness going on with Clutch Sports and Zach Lavine, A.K. Mark Eversley, Jerry Reinsdorf, Benny Donovan with the Chicago Bulls. I know I said Reinsdorf. Don't correct me in the comments. It's all good. But I look at this statement right here, and I look at the situation for what it is to see if the words match the actions. Now, what do we have? We have the words. The relationship between the two is completely shattered and filled with mistrust. Okay, we talk about shattered and mistrust. What in your right mind, when it comes to you and your relationships, let's talk about personal things real quick. When it comes to anybody that you dealing with, what does it normally come down to? Trust, communication. That's the number one, too. That's dealing with your homeboy. That's dealing with your homegirl. That's dealing with your lady, your male friend, your lady boy, whatever you want to go ahead and do. That's what those relationships deal with, trust and communication, nonetheless. But when we're looking at the situation that has transpired among the Chicago Bulls, we look at certain factors of what has taken place. But my thing is, when it comes to mistrust, when it comes to Zach Lavine, how the hell you expect for the Chicago Bulls to just give you the money and then turn around and automatically bow down to your demands of you want to trade? They still, if we keep it in a buck, the Chicago Bulls still have to keep themselves in mind as an organization. You know what I'm saying? That's what they have to do. They have to consider themselves as an organization. Yes, they have to consider you, but you're fresh on that new deal at this time. You know what I'm saying? I believe you're only a year into the deal. Now that it's kicked in, correct me if I'm wrong, somebody down there in the chat. But you're new to this. And even though you're still new to this new deal, we don't have to succumb to your demands. We don't have to bow down to your demands. But then on the flip side, we looking like, hey, Chicago, we ain't going nowhere. Chicago, we can't put together a good team. This is from Zach Lavine's standpoint. Chicago, we can't put together a good team. Chicago, we need more than what you guys have given me. I don't rock with Billy Donovan. I don't believe he's a good head coach. I don't believe in the roster. I don't believe that we can make it that far. I'm going to opt out. So what, you know what I'm saying? You looking at both sides and you saying, okay, I get where you're coming from, Chicago Bulls. Okay, I get where you're coming from, Zach Lavine. Now it's time to give you where Bobby's coming from. My thing is, look, if you look at both sides, I don't think both sides did everything correctly when they addressed this situation. If you looking at me, and I'm talking about roster first. Let's talk about that. Let's break this down into layers. Roster first. If I'm Zach Lavine, I'm saying, hey, Bulls, we need a point guard. You see how great we were when I had a point guard like Alonzo Ball. I understand you have trust in Lonzo in a Kobe White. I don't have much time to keep waiting for a Kobe White to succumb to the surface and be the point guard we need him to be. Make moves. Okay, on the flip side, to that same situation with the roster, hey, Zach Lavine, what the fuck you want us to do, gang? We put all these players in place for you. You is the man on the squad. Step up. Do what you got to do. Be the guy that's at the forefront and be that max player that we gave, be the max player that we need you to be for the reason we gave you all this money. Step up. Lead us somewhere. Because, and when you look at that and you tie it all in together and you say, hey, most guys, when they get these max contracts, typically, not always, but typically, those players can carry a load. Those can carry a load. You know what I mean? So it's interesting. It's interesting in that regard when it comes to the roster construction. Now, when we talk about coaching, hey, Billy Donovan, hey, I need you to tell DeMar to pass the ball. Hey, Billy Donovan, in some of these clutch game situations, I need you to give me opportunity. Hey, Billy Donovan, why am I fighting for positioning and spacing and stuff like that and getting the ball with not enough time on the clock, or we allowing DeMar DeRozan to slow the pace? Can be a standpoint for DeMar DeRozan. What could be a standpoint for Billy Donovan to say, Zach, move. Why are you standing at the wing? Zach, move. Why are you standing in the corner? Or Zach, here's an opportunity for you to take over in the late game. Why are you deferring to DeMar DeRozan? Why? See, two things can be true when you talk about these situations when it comes to how the relationship has been shattered. For me, it's a bit weird. You know what I'm saying? Because how is the relationship shattered based off me going to get surgery? Or how is the relationship shattered because we want you to perform better? To me, it sounds like a bunch of baby shit. That's just what it sounds like to me. You know what I'm saying? It sounds like a front office personnel they're trying to flex their muscle. And then you have a player who's seen multiple times around the league that players get their way. But hey, Zach Lavine, I ain't keep it a buck. Zach Lavine, keep it a buck. You ain't that caliber of player for somebody to bow down to you, bro. That's a fact. It's unfortunate, but that's a fact, bro. You're not the caliber of a player of a Paul George, of a Kawhi Leonard, not even a James Harden, for to where a team is going to bow down to your needs. Right now, the landscape, it's a bit shaky. Why? Because you ain't been doing, we believe in you. Here in Chicago, at least most of us, we know you are talented, but the problem is the talent hasn't resulted in much for the Chicago Bulls. That's the problem. So when we bring up players like a James Harden, when we bring up players like a Paul George, their aura, their evidence, when you talk about the evidence of these players and what they could potentially bring, we see more positives than we see with your track record, Zach Lavine. And I hope I articulated that pretty damn well. Zach Lavine, you don't have the clout to sit here and demand that you get traded to a specific team. You don't have that pull, bro. I wish you did, because if you did, that'll tell me that you did everything you needed to do in a Chicago Bulls uniform. But if we keeping it a buck, it's been underwhelming, bro. It's been down bad, bro. Your tenure with the Chicago Bulls. Hence why I understand what's going on around in the league, but to put it all on, it's a relationship that involves two. The organization didn't do their best, and you didn't either. That's a fact. One playoff win that we can remember, bro, and it wasn't because of you. So when we talk about mistrust and things like that, Zach Lavine, they gave you a lot. I'm not going to say they gave you everything, but they gave you a lot. They gave you Nikola Vucevic. They gave you DeMar DeRozan. They gave you Lonzo Ball. They gave you Alex Caruso. They gave you young players, Patrick Williams, Kobe White. It's unfortunate that things happen and injuries happen and players went down and players wanted to be moved, et cetera, et cetera. But you as the player that makes the max money, that people believe that you had enough talent to keep the Bulls at least chugging in the right direction, you failed. That's a fact. There's nothing you can come back and say that you succeeded in anything other than one playoff win, bro. I look at a situation like Trae Young in Atlanta. He was the lone superstar, and he was still in the playoffs. He went to the Western Conference Finals. Did he have a great, solid team? Absolutely. John Collins, all them young players. But who was the max money man? Probably not at that specific time, but who was the man pushing the team forward? Trae Young. I could argue he was still damn near by himself. I know he had eventually got DeJounte Murray, and that was just a mix-up. But they were still in the damn playoffs, bro. We seen you hurt, so you're not available. And I'm not knocking you for that, but that's just the facts, bro. Not available. Then when you are available, your team is still performing at the bottom of the league. Like you had a trash team. You didn't. Your team probably wasn't properly constructed in a way, but bro, you shouldn't have been fighting for a play-in spot with you and DeMar. With you and DeMar. And it's crazy, and I don't want to draw this, but I got to bring it up because this is how we talking about relationships, right? Relationships. Lonzo went down in that season after 35 games. Then you went down. The lone man carrying the ship, DeMar DeRozan. He was around. Where were you? So when we talk about relationships being shattered and there's mistrust, I understand it to that degree, but you can't act like you can sit here and demand a bunch of stuff from the Chicago Bulls. Now it's up to them if they give in. That's them. But it's the perfect as one of the greatest YouTube GMs out there. I'm gonna say it, damn it. I'm a great YouTube GM. Argue with your mama. I'm doing what's best for the Chicago Bulls. That's it. And I will say this, it's going to sound ridiculous, but y'all know me, I don't give a damn. If the Chicago Bulls are completely done with Zach Lavine, send him home like John Wall got sent home until you find a suitor, until you find a deal that's better than, until you find something that's feasible enough for the Chicago Bulls. Think organization first on this. Don't just take back a sack of laundry. Don't just take back a bag of woo-wop the bam, a can of whoop ass. Do what's best for the organization. When we talk about relationships being shattered, this is something that both sides can point the finger on to the opposing guy. The Bulls can look at Zach. Zach can look at the Bulls. And I get it. But I think right now the situation, who holds the Bulls don't have much leverage. But in this pull and tug thing between the Bulls and Zach Lavine, Zach, you're the reason your market stinks, bro. You are. Why? Because you are on the court. We don't see AK out there in shorts in a jersey jacking up threes. That's you, bro. We don't see Mark Eversley out there setting picks and playing defense. That's you, bro. We don't see Jerry Reinsdorf out there on the court making horrible turnovers or trying to hit a clutch three. That's you, bro. So in all, for a relationship to be shattered, bro, you need to be trying to repair it, though, at least a little bit, so you can be on the move. You gonna have to do what you got to do so you can be on the move. Communicate with these fellas. I ain't saying you got to be fake, but if you're trying to get your ass up out of there, you're gonna have a discussion. That's a fact. You're gonna have to have some discussions. Hey, AK Mark Eversley. Okay, we understand that the market ain't working for the Chicago Bulls. How many games I got to come back for y'all to get me up out of here? Y'all want me to come play 15 games? Raise my stock a little, Bo? Bet. Let's do it. But you got to promise, hey, it's already a rocky relationship, but y'all got to come to terms on one thing and agree on one thing. That's it. That's it. So for this to be shattered, and it is what it is, both sides can be at fault for it. But Zach Lavine, right now, you ain't got many options because your ass created the market that you have right now. And it's not intentional. It just is what it is. Y'all let me know how y'all feeling about that. I think, like, if we keeping it a buck, bro, us Bulls fans, most of us know that Zach Lavine is talented as fuck. But no fan can dispute the fact that his market is the way it is in part because of him. It's not all organization. Some of it's on him. That's my only point. But that's it. I'm done talking about Zach Lavine and their shattered relationship. It is what it is. The mistrust can happen. I don't care. Get the deal done. So Zach, go talk to them. Them go talk to Zach. Figure it out. It's time to wash your hands with this situation. That's what it comes down to. But that's it for me today, ladies and gentlemen. Thank y'all so much for tuning in again. Hit that like button. Subscribe. Call in if you want to be a part of an episode. 773-242-9219. Love to hear your thoughts on the Zach Lavine situation. We got more DeMar DeRozan news coming up here in the future, but we on the road to 10K. So subscribe. Let's go. Y'all already know. I'm Bobby. I'm going to catch y'all on the next one for sure.
Cognac. Gang.